There are a few things that you need to know before we get into this video. Number one, I really love the idea of protecting my own peace, but when somebody sends me a book dedication that is as wild as the dedication to this book, that need goes out the window because my insatiable curiosity is taking over. So thank you, Kelly, for that. Number two, shutting up, not really my forte. Buckle up if you're new here. I will not be stopping talking in this video. Prepare for rambling. And number three, at the very end of the day, there is nothing I love more than the way it feels to be a hater. If you are my dad, I really recommend you don't watch this video because I'm going to be talking about things that you really don't want to hear your daughter talk about. Other family members probably tune out for this one. It's not for you. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. My name is Brittany. On this channel, I share my stupid opinions about the books that I've been reading. And today's victim of the cawpile system is Vile Boys by Clarissa Wilde. Let me tell you something. This book is wild. We have an average of 4.25 stars on Goodreads for this book, and I just cannot for the life of me fathom how that is accurate. So I went over to the Storygraph and it's 3.88 on the Storygraph, which again, I can't fathom how that is accurate for a book that has such little plot. The author provides a laundry list of trigger warnings on her website, so I really recommend that you check that out. Here's a list of the trigger warnings from the Storygraph if you'd like to pause and read before we jump into this, because we're probably gonna hit on some of these topics. Here we go. All Crystal Murphy has known for her entire life is how to be the good girl. She's the apple of her father's eye, the light of his life. She works hard, she studies hard, she shows everyone kindness. Wonderful, right? That's just like what her father taught her to do. This is all she knows until she attends a party at the Tartarus House, which is like a frat on her college campus that's known for debauchery and hedonism. And that's where Crystal witnesses the three leaders of the Tartarus House murdering someone. Aries, Blaine, and Caleb are all devilishly handsome, hedonistic, and ruthless men who are determined to break Crystal down because they catch her watching them kill somebody. Their goal is to make Crystal absolutely hate them. They are absolutely bound and determined to keep her silent no matter what the cost is. These men are self-proclaimed gods, and they're using these wicked games to drive her to insanity. So what they do is they threaten Crystal's mom. They threaten her life, basically. And they're like, hey, if you don't do what we want, we're gonna kill your mom. So she submits to their whims, and soon enough, she's been corrupted in every way possible. Crystal's kindness is burned away, replaced by a hatred for how good these men make her feel and for how much she lusts for them. Crystal's plan is to use that hatred against them, and she has one goal in mind: to bring the gods to their knees. That's the synopsis, kind of paraphrased from Goodreads. I'd like to know where that was in the plot, honestly, because the plot non-existent, but we're going to talk about it. For our characters, Crystal Murphy is our female main character. It is harped on over and over and over again that she's this little bitty girl. She's 5 foot tall, blonde hair, green eyes, I think. It was pointed out a lot, but I can't remember what color her eyes are. She's a student at Spine Ridge University, a sorority member, homework helper, overall good girl, etc. Daddy's little jewel and only child. Aries Torres is the leader of Tartarus House, and he refers to himself as a god. He is extremely rich because his father owns all the casinos in the city where the university is, and he might actually be a gang member. Unclear. He's definitely a serial killer, and he has dark hair and gray eyes. This is pointed out a lot as well. Caleb Preston is the second in command to Aries, and he is absolutely head over heels in love with him. Anything that Aries wants Caleb to do, Caleb does with a yes sir, even if he does not want to do so. Blaine Navarro is Aries' bodyguard, so to speak. He owes Aries his life. He calls everyone darling, which really grated on my nerves and made me want to scream at first, but eventually grew on me. He's the only one who legitimately seems to care about Crystal. He's like the only one who's nice to her. He doesn't partake in the I'm gonna make her hate me scheme that Caleb and Aries have concocted. He's 6'9", which is pointed out very frequently. He has long, dark, curly hair and green eyes again, I think. He is so tall that it made me question the logistics of how some of the sex scenes worked out. There are a bunch of side characters whose names I don't remember, and it doesn't matter because they play such a minimal role in this story that it literally doesn't matter. I can't even remember Crystal's friends' names, which I think speaks volumes. One character I did recall was Kai. He's Ari's brother. He's not even really relevant to this story. It doesn't really matter. Characters were so badly developed, including side characters. I simply could not give this higher than a 1 for characters. We are set on a college campus, and that's cool. I couldn't picture it. Crime is running rampant in the town in which this university is set, and no one seems to care, which is cool, whatever. School has nothing to do with this story. No one goes to class, ever. I think Crystal attends class once in this book. Spine Ridge University, I just genuinely couldn't picture it. I couldn't picture the forest surrounding the place. There was no movie playing in my head. I literally couldn't even picture the sorority house or basically the frat house that is Tartarus House. It's a 1 out of 10 for atmosphere. For the writing, I think that it's gonna be best if I just read some things that I highlighted in this book because I did not like it. Guys, I mutter, don't fight over me, please. What's this? Blaine's standing in the door opening, clutching the banister as he sways his hips sideways. Let me just demonstrate what I thought that looked like. Guys, what's going on? What was that? Swaying, like sashaying his hips? What is he doing? Just gyrating on the freaking banister? Aries offers his hand, and she makes a distrustful glance. Trust me. I'm fine, he says. Stop lying, I say. Let me help you, he snorts. You're one to talk. Guess we're both perfect liars then, I murmur with a grin. Let's get you inside. I want to thank you. Don't, he interjects. Don't thank me for doing what's right. I know you hate me because I made you hate me. I didn't highlight a lot in this book, but those are some samples of the writing, so you can do with that what you will. I gave it a 1 out of 10. So I understand that the whole point of this book is for it to just be like a fun and smut-filled time, but for me, I do enjoy there to be a little bit of plot that makes sense for the trash romance novels that I read, and this one, I don't know. At first, it felt like Tartarus House was going like into a gang war with the other societies on campus. I can't even remember them. Phantoms was one, but that's the only one that I can remember. Serpent and Snake maybe is another society. It felt like there was a gang war amongst the 3 main societies on this campus, but then it morphed into a war on human trafficking, and then it morphed again into a war between the Torres family, which wasn't really making much sense to me. There was a whole lot of sex in between starting in chapter 1. There's a ton of killing and violence, and like this isn't my first foray into dark romance because I did read the Prescott High series, which is like Havoc and Chaos and all that fun stuff. But if I'm being honest, I think that the plot was way better developed in the Prescott High series than it was in this. And that's really saying something. This one was really hard to keep track of. And it's like 600 and something pages full of just sex from the very first chapter. So if that's something that you're into, you might enjoy this, but the violence and the lack of plot just kind of had me struggling to stay interested. I gave the plot a 1 because there basically wasn't much. I'm being very generous when I talk about the intrigue within this book. I read the book in 3 days. I couldn't look away from it, but it wasn't like I can't put this down, and I didn't DNF. So I gave it a 3 for intrigue. This was supposed to be a buddy read with my bestie Kelly, and I really highly advised against this within the first chapter. I don't recommend that she read it. And if you're my friend, I don't recommend that you read it. Straight debauchery and hedonism the entire time. 3 out of 10, like I said. Spoiler free as always. There is so much of this book that I simply couldn't understand logic-wise. The relationships were so imbalanced that I just could not. Logic was a 1 out of 10. And then with enjoyment, I'm going similar to intrigue with this one again. I finished it. There were parts that I enjoyed, which was mostly me laughing at the writing. But mostly I gave it a 3 out of 10 because I finished the book and I think that that's worth something. Overall, 11 out of 70. I don't think that's the lowest score I've given something, but it's still pretty low, which averaged out to 1.57 and makes this book a 1-star read for me. I'm still just blown away that the average on Goodreads is 4.25. Like, I read some of the 5-star reviews for this. I think people are just rating it on enjoyment alone and not anything else when it comes down to that, which I guess if that works for you, but it doesn't work for me. Maybe if the writing were better, I would have a higher score, but I just couldn't deal with the writing. So that's gonna conclude this review for Vile Boys. If you like the video, leave me a like. If you think my opinions are stupid, let me know in the comments below. I would love to chat with you. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in my next one with a book that hopefully I enjoyed more than this. Bye.